What is going on, you guys? It is Will here, and as you can tell, today we're taking a look at the MonsterArts Godzilla 1964. However, this version is the Emergence of Godzilla version. So yeah, this is not the original release of this figure. He's a slight repaint. The only difference between this version and the original is that, as you can see on this one, Godzilla has a little bit more paint applications and some tannish, almost yellowish highlights. And this is supposed to represent the scene in Mothra vs. Godzilla, where Godzilla makes his first appearance in the film, rising up out of the ground. That's what this figure is supposedly based on. And the original version had a much more traditional Godzilla paint job. His skin was more the darker charcoal black color, and his fins were the classic bone white color as opposed to the tannish yellowish on this version. But really, you can't go wrong with either release. Both of them, they have the exact same sculpt, and they both all look really, really good. Just slight difference in the paint. So let me move the figure out of the way real quick until we got the box. Here we go. And the box, really nice looking box. I love the newer look of, I love the new MonsterArts figure box is better because it actually has a picture of the figure on the front instead of the actual suit. As we look at another MonsterArts figure box I have. It's the first edition Godzilla 1994. You can see it's a picture of the suit. I guess one thing I do miss is we don't have the window anymore. Because, you have the window, you can see if there was anything wrong with your figure before you took it out. So that's one thing that I do kind of miss. But, these boxes are also really nice looking. I mean, come on, you wouldn't want to throw these out. Let's bring Godzilla back in here. On the side here, we have the claw mark design, as well as another picture of Godzilla here. One of the prototypes, I believe. And then on the back here, get the glare out of the way. And as you can see here, we have Godzilla rising up out of the ground. You see all the sand on the bottom here. And if you look at the prototype figures, one thing I'm really happy that the official figure didn't get was, look at how much lighter the paint applications are for the prototype as opposed to the final product. Yeah, it does a much better job merging the paint applications of the sand and the dirt and Godzilla's skin on the final product as opposed to the prototype. The prototype is a little bit too light on terms of the color of the sand. Yeah, so thank God this figure came out looking like this. So that's the box, really nice looking box. Now let's get back to Godzilla here. So let me go ahead and just turn this guy around right here so you can see what nice, gorgeous detail this figure has. That may have to be a thumbnail. Really gorgeous looking figure. You can see Godzilla's skin bumps are all nicely textured in there. I love the detail on the fins. They feel really nice and rough, and they just have a real cool look to them. Turn them around. Again, you can see the paint blend of Godzilla's skin as well as the coloration of the sand and the dirt. Again, this figure does a real nice job of merging the two. Another possible thumbnail right there. And then perhaps the best part about this figure is, of course, Godzilla's head. As we all know, Mosu Goji, or Godzilla 64, whatever you want to call him, had really defined and really, his eyebrows were the number one thing that stood out. And this figure did a real good job of capturing Godzilla's face. As well as the eyes. They had that nice kind of cloudy, kind of glazed over look. As you remember that one shot in the movie where they did a close-up of Godzilla's face as Mothra was approaching him? Yeah, this figure captures that look really nice. Now for articulation, obviously it's an MonsterArts figure, so this guy's going to have quite a bit of it. Godzilla, first off, Godzilla's tail. It's a fully poseable tail. It can move back and forth, it can swivel a little bit, and yeah, we all know MonsterArts is good with the tails. You can have either up a little bit or flat on the ground. I like to keep mine just slightly up. Godzilla's legs. Swivel at the thighs. Have a bend in the knee, as well as a little bit of a hinge in the ankle here. The only bad part about having lots of articulation in the legs is it's kind of hard to get Godzilla to stand up straight sometimes. In the arms, Godzilla has a swivel at the shoulder, a hinge in the elbow, as well as a swivel in his wrists. Same thing on this side, but this side is kind of loose on my figure, so I don't want to risk anything popping off for this review. And of course, Godzilla also has a articulation in the waist. Hear that? That's MonsterArts right there. And Godzilla also has articulation in the neck. Can go slightly up and down, but again, be careful because you don't want that head popping off. So yeah, Godzilla has a pretty good range of articulation. He's pretty poseable as opposed to some other releases in the SA's MonsterArts line. Let me pull out another figure I have from this line. You guys saw his box earlier, so here he is. The Godzilla 1994, the original release. And, alright, another complaint people have about this figure is the sizing. As you can see, Godzilla is a little bit shorter than 94 Godzilla here. Now, apparently, MonsterArts' reason behind that is because this is how big Showa Godzilla would be compared to Heisei Godzilla. And yeah, we all know, Heisei Godzilla 100 meters, Showa Godzilla 50. So just be glad this figure's not half the size of this guy. Could be a lot worse. Now, I love the 94 Godzilla, but while he was nicely detailed, his articulation was a lot less. I can see his legs are really stiff to move. As opposed to 64 over here, they move no problem. So yeah, while I really love 94, his articulation was a lot limited. Now, I do know that there's a remold of this guy out there, which is technically the Burning Godzilla mold. But the birth version, I gotta get that guy this figure. Then I could really compare all my MonsterArts. But hey, I still love Godzilla 94. And I guess the one thing I can complain is if they can make Godzilla 64 just slightly bigger, that'd be a lot much better. Because then he'd be in scale with the other 6-inch figures in the line. And, Godzilla 94 was in scale with, your vinyl figures. See? They're the exact same size. So if you can make Godzilla 64 just slightly bigger, he would fit very much in scale, but unfortunately he's not. Let's get these guys out of here. Alright, now for the bad part. Of course we got the gap. Now when you hold the figure in person, the gap isn't as noticeable, but it is, it's still there. It's definitely there. Like, it definitely caught my eye when I first took this guy out of the box. But, I mean, there's a fix. You can remove this fin with an X-Acto knife and slightly move it upward. But, I mean, I'm not that crafty, so I really do not want to hurt this Godzilla figure. And I also know a lot of people had issues with the seams being shown right here. Now, yes, they're slightly noticeable, but if you ask me, it kind of makes the figure look like a big clunky suit, which is what it's supposed to be. And hey, it could be worse. Remember, Burning Godzilla had a big gap. You can see right through the figure. At least this guy doesn't have that issue. And don't even get me started on the Ultra Act Red King. Oh my god, that figure had terrible seams. Oh, how can I forget? This release of Godzilla 64 comes with accessories. So here is his accessory. It's another beam accessory. Woohoo! I don't know. I could care less if this thing came with it or not. So you have the beam accessory here, adjust Godzilla's mouth, and there you go. You get Godzilla firing his atomic ray. I mean, it looks cool for a display. It would look better if the base here was more like a city or a mountainside instead of this just clear, stupid thing. That's kind of a turnoff. That's why I would not display this figure with the beam accessory. But I mean, the actual shape of the beam looks pretty cool though, and the coloration's not bad. I mean, the earlier Godzillas did have more of a white beam, or then the newer ones, the blue became more vibrant. But I mean, yeah, it doesn't look as bad. But again, I wish this was, better. Alright, you guys. So finally, Godzilla 1964, the Emergence version. What do I think? Hey, he's an SA's MonsterArts figure. He is, this line is always really, really cool to have. They're super articulated figures, and they look real good. Just be careful, because sometimes certain joints could pop off because they are so articulated. So that's one thing you gotta be careful about. And other than that, the figure is really nicely detailed, really gorgeous looking piece. I personally love the Mosu Goji, one of my favorite Showa designs. That's why I decided to get NSA's MonsterArts. It was hard deciding between this or an X+. Ultimately, I went with this because of price. But no, guys, in all fairness, Godzilla 64, the Emergence version, he's one gorgeous looking piece. I would definitely recommend him for all the Showa fans out there, or who just love the MonsterArts line. He will make a real good addition to your collection. I would have to rate him a Ooh, probably just a 9 out of 10 because of the gap as well as his sizing. If he was a 6-inch figure, that 9 could easily go up to a 9.5 or even almost a 10. Because the gap, I don't know, it bugs me, but then again, when I see the figure in person, I don't know, I kind of just try to look past it. But alright guys, that's all I got for you today. This was the SH MonsterArts Godzilla, the Emergence version. Like I said, you really can't go wrong with either this version or the original release. Both of them are really gorgeous pieces, but you know, you just get a slightly different paint job with one of them. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and hey, I'll see you with the next review. Let me know what you guys want to see in the comments below, and hey, thanks for watching as always, you guys.